My research program focuses on rejuvenating the regenerative capacity of striated muscle, which includes the skeletal muscle and the cardiac muscle. And I'm particularly interested in preventing and treating the loss of muscle mass that's associated with aging and or disease. I have recently been focusing my work on a particular hallmark of aging, which is cellular senescence. And I've been looking at how cellular senescence affects the regenerative capacity of the heart. And I've been targeting cellular senescence using a new type of agent called senolytics. And through doing this, we've shown that senescence impairs the regenerative capacity of the heart, or the heart being able to repair itself. And we've shown that if we eliminate senescent cells using senolytics, we can improve and rejuvenate the regenerative capacity of the heart. I have two reasons. I have a personal reason, because I am aging myself, and so are my family. So I really want to be able to understand how I can improve my lifespan and my health span, mainly my health span, so that I can live a healthy, longer life that's free of kind of disease and being a burden on my family. I want to be able to enjoy my retirement, because, you know, by the time I get to retirement age, I don't want to be, not able to do things. I would have worked hard my whole life, and I want to be able to enjoy my retirement. So that's my personal reasons. And then in terms of other reasons, I really want to contribute to understanding the core mechanisms behind how we can close that lifespan, health span gap, so that we can kind of discover new targets, signaling pathways, and new drugs and interventions that we could use to try to help people so that we can delay and alleviate age-related disease. And I want to be able to do this really because I think it's so important in the world that we live in to try to reduce the burden on our healthcare systems and our welfare systems with our increasing aging population. So that's why I think it's really, really an important area of research to go in. Okay, so I think that the big hotspots will probably be related to there's lots of work at the moment on reversing aging, and sometimes people hear that and think, oh, that's a bit science fiction-y, but actually it's really exciting, because if you think about being able to reprogram a cell that is an aged cell back to being a non-aged cell, or a unhealthy cell back to being a healthy cell, then that's really, really important for us to understand. So I think that's an area that's a kind of a hotspot. And if I was going to start in this field, that's probably where I would focus my attention. And then I think the other thing that's really important and a hotspot is looking at ways to prevent aging in the cardiovascular system, and trying to understand how we can prevent cardiovascular aging, and what are the pathways, the signaling pathways, the mechanisms that do that, and then targeting those earlier on so that we can stop the process from getting so bad. And I think that's a key thing that we should be focusing on. And the reason I I think it's really important that we should work understanding the mechanisms of aging and the hallmarks of aging, is because a lot of the patients that we treat, that we are trying to treat, are old. So we have to have an understanding of what's happening in the aged cardiovascular system, if that's, you know, what we're going to target. So it's not necessarily, it's important to do experiments in adult model systems, because those experiments are important for us to understand certain processes and mechanisms. But actually, we need to take into account that the patients, you know, when they have a heart attack and we are trying to repair and regenerate the heart, that most of those patients will be aged and old. And so it's a completely different environment when you've got the cardiovascular system in an aged person compared to a young adult person. So that's why I think it's really important, and why we should be working in this area. Yes, I would say be open-minded. Think about the big picture, because aging encompasses lots of different things. But then you also have to be very focused on what you're specifically doing, and your research. But I would also say be ambitious, because this is a really fast moving field, and lots of the work now that's coming out, especially in like cellular senescence, we don't necessarily know that much about it in the heart. So be, and the cardiovascular system. So be really ambitious with your research questions and your hypotheses. And I would also say, let me think. I would also say, don't get too disheartened by things. So it's a pretty competitive space to work in research. You're competing to get grants, publish papers, and we all go through it, even, you know, professors. It's not easy to get grants and publish papers either. So don't get disheartened, don't give up, just keep going. There's so much to be done, so much research to be done, so much questions to be answered. Just keep going, and the most important thing is keep learning and just keep enjoying what you're doing, because that's the main thing, is to enjoy what you do, and that's what gets us all up in the morning. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's doing really well. It's a really fabulous journal, and I'm really honoured to be part of the editorial board. I really like the things that you're doing, like the podcasts and the webinars. I really like those. I think maybe it might be quite nice to have some junior editors that could join. Possibly some fellowships that maybe you could offer, because you could have fellows in cardiovascular aging, that kind of thing. And also I was thinking a conference. Maybe you could organise a conference, because within the cardiovascular aging space, there's not that many conferences that are specific for cardiovascular aging. I definitely have only really participated in one, and it's always really, really good to be focused on the cardiovascular system, because the other conferences that you go to that are around aging, or around, you know, regenerative medicine or stem cells, or even the American Heart Association meeting, they're all very broad. So it would be nice to maybe have a focused conference specifically on cardiovascular aging that maybe the journal could organise. So they're my ideas.